All right, for this next part of our process, we're going to go ahead and create one set of our game pieces. So remember, you have something to represent your X's, something to represent your O's. One example that I had were two different types of emojis, so the heart eye emoji and then this crying emoji here. So I've created my game piece. It's roughly 2 by 2 inches. Yours can be a smidge smaller if you would like. I have cut it out around the perimeter, so that means just on the overall outline, and I'm now ready to trace it onto clay. Okay, now the clay that I have here is 2 small slabs of clay. This is the extra clay that was left over from something. So a slab is basically a flat, even piece of clay. Think of it as a pancake sort of thickness. So basically a flat piece of clay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this as many times as I can onto each of these slabs. And again, I need roughly about 5 or 6 of these game pieces. The biggest mistake that students make, I think, sometimes when they're using pieces of slab is they'll take whatever it is they're creating and stick it smack dab in the center of the slab and then cut it out and then come to me and ask for more. Really make sure that you place this toward the edge and trace as many of these as you can on one piece of slab before you come and ask for more. Also, we're going to be using a needle tool for cutting out our game pieces. So you are going to use this tool to cut all the way to the surface. So basically straight down. So always make sure that you're working on a piece of styrofoam tray, or a piece of cardboard or something like that, so you don't cut into your table. Remember, clay expectations, the agreement does apply to this tool, okay? So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna place this toward the outside. Let me make sure I'm on the camera here. Yep, okay, as close to the edge. And again, I am going to just hold my tool straight up and down, press all the way to the styrofoam or your tray, and cut out just along the perimeter here. Okay, so I have one piece. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this out. I'm gonna place another one here as close to the edge as I can. All right. Cut all the way down. Pop it out. And let me see if I can get one more. I don't think I can. Nope, doesn't quite fit. So I'm gonna move this aside and I'm gonna do my last, as many as I can on this one. And again, we're shooting for about 5 of these. All right, so I'm gonna try one here. All right, let's see if I can fit one more. I'm not sure if I can or not. It doesn't look like it. Bummer. Okay, so I only have 3. At this point, I would need additional clay to complete my one set of game pieces, because again, we need about 5, and this is all I have. So this extra clay here, if I'm not gonna use it, I will ball it up, and I want you to give it back to me because I will roll it out to create more slab later on. But before you ball it up, I just want to share with you 2 methods of working with this, sorry. So method 1 is actually just sketching your design directly onto your game piece, okay? The other is starting to make it 3-dimensional, okay? So basically building off one side of it, which would be considered a relief. Okay, now for either of these, what I want to do first is I can add a small smidge of water, but I mainly want to take my finger and smooth out the surface of this. Okay, so the texture that's on this is the texture of the slab roller. This drives me crazy. So I just want to take my finger and smooth out the edges, smooth out the surface, and I'll add a little bit of water in my finger and do that as well. And again, if you're adding water, If you're adding water, only add the smallest amount because we don't want to make our clay soupy, okay? All right, this is looking pretty. So what the goal with that was to smooth out the texture of the slab roller, to smooth out the edges, if there's any cracks or like little lumps and bumps, just to kind of smooth that out before you start the process of sketching out your design. Okay, now the goal with these is, if I'm going to do crying emojis versus the heart eye emoji for my game pieces, to make them all of one type as identical as possible. Now there are a couple students that are doing like one theme versus another for game pieces where they're having variety. You're kind of you kind of have a different expectation, but most students, the goal is to make all of one type of game piece look the same, okay? So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, now that I have this smoothed out, looks pretty good overall. Particularly you can see it compared to this one. See how this one has a rough edge and a texture, this one does not. I am now ready to sketch my design just surface level on this. Let me see if I can zoom y'all in. There we go. Okay, so this is what I have so far, okay? And what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just in the surface of this, using the needle tool again, this is why this is such a great tool, I'm gonna go ahead and just sketch my design just into the surface. Okay, we don't wanna cut really much deeper than the surface, because what do you think will happen for that? It'll definitely compromise the structural integrity of this clay, meaning it's just gonna crack and break, right? If you carve all the way through it, okay? All right, so this is what I have so far, okay? Again, I'm just keeping this to surface level. I could carve this a smidge deeper, okay, if I wanted to, but not by much, okay? So then this game piece is basically done, okay? Now the other method for this is to build up the surface of this piece, okay? So let me kind of start over real quick. So I'm gonna do exactly what I did for the other one, is I'm gonna work this texture out of the surface before I even get started. So make that slab roller texture go away. I'm gonna go ahead and smooth out my edge. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, after this is completely done, is I'm gonna go ahead and build up the surface of this, okay? And what I mean is I'm gonna do more of a sculpting on the surface. So I'm gonna create a relief. Relief just means that there's a three-dimensional part to the surface, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, with my extra clay, this is where your extra clay kind of comes in. I'm gonna go ahead and cut out some extra pieces and score, slip, and smooth them onto the surface. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. Here we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, with this extra clay, I am going to cut out some pieces for the eyes maybe, okay? And so what it's going to look like is maybe something that looks like this. So maybe this will be one eye. Another piece, other eye. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and attach these on, okay? So remember, to attach these to the surface, I can't just like smush them down and be done with it, okay? I do have to score, slip, and smooth them on, okay? So score marks mean little scratch marks. So you're gonna scratch both surfaces. You're gonna add a little bit of water. So remember, real slip is a clay water mixture. I do not mix that for students. At this point, I just have it pressed on here. And at this point, it is not attached. It will not survive a baking, okay? So it will not survive a firing. What I have to do then is use my green clay tool and also my finger to pull clay over the seam. Okay, so it's gonna look something more like this. Okay, and then I can go ahead and smooth it out. Okay, with a little bit of water on my finger. And again, if you push and pull it, you can mold it very easily. Okay, so that will be baked together. It should be ready to go. I'm gonna do the same thing with the other eye just to kind of give you an idea of what it can look like. So again, I'm going to scratch both surfaces, add a smidge of water, and go ahead and smooth clay over the seam.